your mind goes blank in the pouring rain.
Hey, it's Dave Wyndorf, Monster Magnet. We're in Austria now. Where are we in Austria? In building?
Bindine.
We're in Bindine. And we just did a show. It's about 12 o'clock at night. We did a festival. It was rocking. And now these two guys are making me do an interview. So we're going to talk about Mastermind and other things.
Sorry, Dave, about that. That's so late. So we're gonna kick off some questions so you can go to bed at a decent hour. I'm just gonna really just get right into the first question. In your long career, could let us know who has been like your favorite artist that you had the pleasure to work with, or otherwise been on stage with?
We played with so many bands that I liked, that I grew up with, that freaked me out. Like we played with Aerosmith, Page and Plant, all these great, and like modern artists too, Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, Metallica. They've all been really cool. But I think the one that we got the biggest like charge out of was playing with Hawkwind.
Really?
Yeah, I got to sing with Hawkwind. So, and Hawkwind was one of my favorite bands when I was a little kid.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Who would you like to work with now? I mean, is there someone you still feel like I still want to do something with that band, or maybe go on tour with them or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of cool bands out there. I love the White Stripes. I think they're awesome. In a strange world, we could actually play with them at some time. I don't know if it would ever happen. I like some of the stoner rock, like The Sword. I like The Sword. I mean, they're awesome. I'd like to play with them. Pretty much anybody that would want to play with us, I wouldn't have a problem with playing.
You were talking about Hawkwind earlier a little bit. When you grew up, what was your favorite record? When you were a teenager, what was sort of like the album that kicked things off for you, really? Or?
Well, there was. I think it was. I went to school. I was in 8th grade, and some kid. We'd go to gym class, physical education, and I never played gym, and I just sat in the back, and there was a kid back there. He had a record player. I don't know how he had a vinyl record player, and he was playing the first Black Sabbath.
Oh, yeah.
And I heard that, and I was like, holy shit, what is this? So it was, when I was a kid, it was Sabbath, Stooges, Hawkwind.
Stooges?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A lot of Stooges.
What would you say are your 5 favorite albums nowadays? I mean, if you had to name 5 albums, the typical question if you go on an island or something,
yeah.
Take 5 albums with you.
It's tough, man. And it's like, 5 albums. Well, if I could count a collection, I would say, first 3 Sabbath, that counts as 1. That's 5 things I can grab, First 3 Sabbath albums, first 3 Stooges albums, the only 3 Stooges albums. 3 Stooges, I said 3 Stooges. Sabbath, Stooges, Hawkwind, maybe In Search of Space by Hawkwind. That's 3. There's so many goddamn records. I mean, there's so much good music out there.
Maybe some Slayer?
I'm not a metal guy.
No?
No. I mean, I know we're on Napalm now and stuff, but I've never been into metal. I like real rock. I mean, I love Slayer and stuff, but it's not the thing I would put on, on a desert island. I like blues and melody, that kind of stuff. All right, Rain and Blood, okay.
All right.
I'll put Rain and Blood on. And, oh man, so many other great records out. That's enough, right?
No Zeppelin at all?
Ooh. Zeppelin 1, I guess. It's tough.
Yeah. Maybe take a couple of Zeppelin albums.
Okay. First 4 Zeppelin albums. First 4. Why is the first 4 always the best? First 3, the first 4 are always the best.
Yeah. Just kind of going back a little bit to your own music. Is there an album where you feel you wish you would have done it differently or not done at all? Every
one I've done completely differently. making an album is like a controlled plane crash. You go in there and you try to fly the plane. It always has to go down, you know. There's never enough time to do everything you want. I've just learned to try to pack as much of myself and as much of my brain power into it before somebody pulls the plug, you know. I think the album I was probably most unhappy with God Says No.
What's that?
I wasn't there to produce it as much. I had hired these really, really good people to help me. I produced all the Mastermind records. And God Says No, I hired really, really good people to help me. And they were very, very good. And I had problems I had lost the lyrics to the record. My car had been broken into in Chicago. And all the lyrics were stolen, and I forgot the lyrics. So I had to go in every morning and rewrite these lyrics from memory. And some of it came out okay, and some of it, they were just gone. I was like, shit, you know? And I got my guys in the studio, and I go over there and, like at noontime, work out some stuff and go, all right, I'm gonna go back and write lyrics, and you guys like track the basic tracks. And what happened was, it was just came out too good. There was excellent people behind the thing, and it just came out really smooth and like very, very lush, more so than I would have guessed.
Cool. What is your favorite Monster Magnet song?
Ooh, I don't know. I think I don't know. It's a cross between one of the songs on a new record called "The Titan Who Cried Like a Baby." And Spine of God. I like Spine of God. Cool. It's fun to sing.
You still enjoy playing Space Lord every night? Is that
yeah?
Does that get old after a while?
I mean, you know, it's like you think about it. First, you think about like, are we gonna play Space Lord again? Of course, we don't have to. Nobody tells you have to. You know, play anything. But you know, when you see the looks on people's faces and they're like, we want to hear Space Lord. Of course, you have to play it.
Yeah, like tonight people just go crazy.
Yeah, they go crazy. It's like they love that song, so it's okay.
What was the worst concert you ever have played?
Too many to count. Some real, like unbelievable ones. It's been a long time since there's been a really, really bad one. But when we first started, you know, we go into places where, say we put on a bill like, we get put on like a real metal bill, you know, like told, shredding, double kick. And we're out there like, yeah, baby! And they're like, fuck you! I mean, literally, beer bouncing off my head and all this stuff, and we get into these big fights. Mastermind's a weird band. We have gotten booked with all different types of bands. So we'll be playing with alternative, or playing with metal. And in the beginning, it was hard to find an audience.
Because you guys were like sitting between chairs, so to speak?
I guess. I mean, I didn't notice the difference. I mean, I just think it's all rock anyway. To me, it's all just music, you know. But the crowds, you know, sometimes these bills get set up in a certain way. And you get a lot of people in there, and they're expecting one thing, and they get another. And it can get pretty nasty. I just always call myself like rock. You know, rock, R-O-C-K, rock, or psychedelic rock.
Yeah. Is there a place in the world you still want to play, haven't played?
Africa.
Africa? Africa?
Yeah, I want to go to Africa.
Any place particular in Africa?
I just, not for the rock, I just want to like get over there for free so I can go see lions and stuff. You know? I can go on a safari.
Should have maybe done something with the World Cup, or maybe you could have like opened a game or something.
There's always next year.
If you could go back in time, and obviously you're a musician now, but if you could go back in time and you could change everything, what different occupation would you choose this time around?
You mean besides musician?
Yeah.
Photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a photographer. Like successful fashion photographer. Because I know what you have to do is get up and take pictures of beautiful women all day. Like, that's your job.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, come on in. Very nice. Or an author. Would be a nice job. A writer.
Have you written anything yourself, or you plan on writing anything?
I write stuff now all the time. Writing's hard because it requires a lot of patience. A lot of patience, and I mean everything does, but music, what happens with music and me, that's why I enjoy it so much, is you can make a lot of stuff happen in a short amount of time. From the time you think of what you're going to write about and the time you produce it, it's relatively a short amount of time compared to some of the other arts. And writers, I mean, I've seen what those guys do, and they sit down and they just go. So I'm going to wait till I get a little bit older and a little bit fatter, and then
I'll be like a Stephen King and write like a...
Yeah, and then I'll write, and then I have to lose my patience, and I have to like lose my impatience to write.
Obviously, it's a well-known. Everybody knows you're really big into like the comic books, and I think you used to have a store as well.
Yeah, I used to manage a comic book store.
So we have a couple of more like funny questions for you, really. We wanted to know if Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man were hanging on a cliff, on the edge of a cliff, really, like, and they lost their superpower. If you had to save one of them, who would it be?
Oh, dude, that's a horrible question. Like all the kids in the world would die over that. So it's Batman, Superman, they all lost their powers.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I have more in common with Spider-Man than I do with Batman and Superman. You know, I can relate to him.
Yeah. What's that?
He was a nerd, you know? He's a nerd, and a nerd made good. Batman and Superman are too heavyweight, you know?
Yeah, they kind of were born cool.
They were kind of born cool, yeah.
If you could team up with a superhero, who would it be?
Oh man, Marvel team up. Jeez. Maybe Spider-Man or 1960s, the 1960s version of Captain America, who was a great character because he was this guy who fought in World War II when he was like pretty much a soldier, and then he got frozen in a block of ice, and they unfroze him. They found him in the middle of the 1960s. They found him, and he was just like this corny old, like saluting guy, but walking around in 1960s New York City, like freaking out at the hippies and freaking out all this like sexual freedom, and he's just like, wow, what the hell's going on here? I think that would be pretty funny to hang out with that guy.
Which author do you think should write a Dave Wyndorf comic series? I mean,
Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison. Yeah, he's a modern comic writer. He's probably the king of comic writers right now. Does a lot of stuff he's working with DC right now, and he does a lot of independent stuff too. But yeah, he's a great guy. I met him and I read his stuff, and he's great.
Are you still nowadays really involved in like, you know, buying comics, or really, you really still a big fan? Or
Yeah, I love it. You know why? Not as much for the stories. Well, of course, you know, I've always, you know, read stories and stuff. And I read a lot of books books, but comic books are the last place where illustration is king. Actual hand-drawn illustration, and I love it. I think it's like a really cool, like really on top of it art form. You know, it's kind of immediate. It's like rock and roll. You know, these guys, they have a deadline, they have to do it. They do it every month, and you can see like artists get better and better. Like every month, you can see them get better. Comics come out every Wednesday. And every Wednesday is like new comic day. It's like, I'll never get sick of that. It's like every Wednesday is like Christmas Day. Like go down the comic store and see what they got. Like, yeah, what's the cool stuff?
How many comics do you buy every Wednesday?
Not that many. I mean, I wish I did, but there's only probably about maybe 4 or 5 comics. Sometimes just one.
What comics do you buy nowadays?
Lately, what I've been buying, this thing called I, Zombie, which is a really cool comic by Michael Allred. And what else have I been reading? Secret Avengers by, what's his name? Brubaker and Deodato Jr., which is like a superhero comic, but it's more like a spy thing. The art is awesome. I mean, it's really, I mean, the sequencing, the panels, from panel to panel. It's like a feast for the eyes, like you travel over it. I buy some Vertigo stuff from DC, and It really depends on what catches my eye. I'm not like one of those guys that has to buy every issue just because I want to complete. So if I see an artist that's on a run of books, I'll buy it until he leaves, and then I'll stop buying the comic.
Cool. Just obviously, your fans are really interested in the new album that's coming out in the end of October.
Yeah.
We obviously heard it already. We love it. We just wanted to sort of kind of get maybe a better idea about the songs. You know, the meaning of the songs. What really went in your head when you were writing them. If you just maybe want to go through the list of the tracks and maybe give us a bit of a...
Sure, I mean, I can do that, or I can just kind of, you know, what I'll do is just explain.
Sure.
The record was born in a kind of a strange atmosphere. I wasn't quite sure what the deadline on the record was, so I thought we had more time than we did. Then when I found out we had a very short deadline, we ended a tour. We just came off a tour in England, and we went right into pre-production. And I wrote a bunch of music, and we got together, and the band rehearsed it for 6 days, and we're ready to go. I mean, that's how good these guys were. I mean, it was 6 days, and they got it all. So we went in and recorded it right away. We recorded all the music. The only thing was that I didn't write any lyrics because I was too busy writing the music. So everything was going great, you know. It was like, yeah, you know, and of course, the names of the songs in the studio are like song number 1 and song number 2. And the guys are asking me, you know, like, got any names for the songs? I'm like, don't worry, I got it. I've done this a million times. I'll write the words. Be fine. So we'll get done. We'll get in the studio. We'll get out. Stop spending money. Then I'm going to fly to California, and I'm going to write the lyrics and then fly to California and finish the vocals in there. We recorded the record in New Jersey. And I fly out to California, and I get my little cheesy hotel in the middle of like the ghetto in LA, outside LA, and nothing comes out. Not a thing. I couldn't write. I don't know what happened. It's just, maybe it's because I just didn't get started on the lyrics while I was doing the music, which is something I usually do, but this time I just did all the music and then went in that. So things got weirder. I was like, you know, for the first time in my life, I had real writer's block. So I call up my co-producer and tell him, I think I'm going to need like maybe a week, you know, on this, or 2 weeks. He goes, fine, you mind if I go to Finland? And he's going to produce a band called Children of Bodom, and Bodom. And he goes, I'll be back in 3 days. So he goes over there. He gets stuck there with the volcanic ash. Remember the volcanic ash? So he gets stuck over there. Meanwhile, I'm in LA finishing that. By this time, I'm writing the lyrics. He gets stuck over there, and I'm just walking around in like the ghetto, like crime, drugs, like all this shit over there, stuck in this little hotel room with these crazy lyrics, which were written, I thought, in a hurry. You know, I was like, I gotta write this stuff in a hurry. And it all, like, all the lyrics on the record are written. Oh, I also got arrested when I was out there too. That was fun.
What did you do?
Didn't turn in a rental car on time. I forgot to turn in a rental car. And you know, that's the way it is in Los Angeles. I mean, it's huge. They called a helicopter and 10 cop cars, guns, threw me in jail for a night. It was crazy. So, and then, well, to get back to what the record's about, I was stuck in that hotel, and all I did was watch Robot Chicken and TV news for like for a month. And I don't know if you watch much still. I don't usually watch much television news, but if you watch TV news for a month, you want to like jump out a window and kill you. It's fucking scary, man. And so I'm thinking. And of course I got my computer on too. So I've got TV on, I got a computer, and I have an iPad. And I'm just looking at all this. iPad's really cool, by the way. And I'm looking at all this stuff. And my brain was operating like that. Like, look at that, look at this. Oh no, oh yes, oh no, oh yes. And that's the way the lyrics came out. It's like a crazy dream of living in the 21st century. And there's a cell phone going off. And I realized that that's what I really should write about. I should try to make this a record where you can get in your car and just imagine driving your car at 125 miles an hour while checking your email and watching porno. Because that's what living today is like. I mean, it's insane. Living today is so much information. There's so much crap going on. And I can only go into myself and what my emotions are, talking about my life and what happens to me. And a lot of times I think if I wrote that straight out, it would be boring. So I interpret it, how I'm feeling, through these images that are flying into my head from everywhere, whether it be from the computer or the movies or driving around the car. And so the record came out as just, it sounds like some guy like just out of his mind, blah, blah, blah. And what it really is, what the record really is about is like love songs, songs of delusions, wish fulfillment, me wanting to get out of the room, me wanting to fall in love with somebody. But if you listen to the words, it sounds like it's more than that, It's kind of taking in everything that comes at you, trying to roll them up into one thing and then spitting it back out. I realize that sounds insane, but at the end of it, it's kind of like some weird poetry. It kind of works. It works, and it's much more interesting to write like that than for me to just go out and go, I went to the store today. I hate the man. Fuck the man. Of course, fuck the man. I mean, we don't need that anymore. So the record was born out of that weird time. It's just like a diary of that weird time I spent in that hotel in that time.
Do you have a favorite song of the new album coming out?
I don't know. I can't think. I'm too close to it now. I'm too close. I'll have to let it sit for a while.
We ask you next time, I guess.
Huh?
We have to ask you next time. Then.
But it's rocking, It's like I made sure that the record was nice and beefy. I was like, I want a fucking rock record, man. It's like, let's go.
I mean, we definitely saw tonight the fans liked the new songs. They were really
fans are cool. They're really, really cool.
Really good live songs. I just say this hallucination bomb.
That's like me talking to a girl and trying to get her to watch The Exorcist 3. You know that movie, The Exorcist 3? Trying to get her to watch The Exorcist 3 and while moving in on her. Trying to make a move on her.
How's that work?
It didn't. Bad.
Bored with sorcery.
That's about flying in a jet plane, but I don't have a jet plane.
Okay. Dig that hole.
Working, and trying not to work, and also making a mess out of things.
Okay. The first single and upcoming music video, Gods and Punks.
Gods and Punks. That's the kind of song that I would like. That's the kind of song when I was a kid I would want to hear. I would want to hear again, jet fighters. I wanted to picture some guy that was flying around in a jet plane, and when he wasn't dropping bombs, he was rocking. I don't know, I must have watched too much Metalocalypse when
The Titan Who Cried Like a Baby.
That's a hotel, paranoid hotel crime story in Los Angeles. Me peeking out of a shade in a hotel and seeing the nastiest hookers you've ever seen in your life, snorting methamphetamine off a table, and these big fucking scary gangsters looking at me that's when I wrote that.
Mastermind?
Sex. Seduction.
100 Million Miles?
That's a song about sometimes feeling that you may be playing baseball in a football stadium. If that makes any sense. It's why am I playing baseball in a football stadium?
Parish on Fire?
Just a basic fuck you song. You can use it for anybody. Hey, fuck you. That's a good song.
Time Machine?
Wanting to be able to travel in time so you can fix your mistakes.
a good one.
Of which there are many. Go ahead.
When the planes fall from the sky.
It sounded really cool. You know, when the planes fall from the sky. That's a TV do song. That's like, you know. And I just kept thinking in terms of cinema in my mind of like, you know, it's like a big disaster movie.
Okay. Ghost story.
Love song.
All out of nothing.
Again, not being able, like, wanting to do something, not being able to conjure it up. That's a writer's block song. You know, when you can't write, you know, and like, well, you're all out. What do you got? I've got nothing. I'm all out of nothing, which is less than nothing. I'm all out of nothing.
Cool. Well, Dave, thank you very much for the time. I know, you know, it's been hard after a long gig. The guys are waiting outside, probably ready to go back on the tour bus. You guys going to Frankfurt now?
Yep. The Rock. More.
Do you have any last words for your fans?
I hope everybody likes the record. I really like making it, and it's pneumatic. You know what I mean? It's like hydraulic. It goes boom, 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 and you should go boom, boom too. So do it. Thanks, everybody.